Hi students, in the last class we have discussed about the ecosystem, the various components of the ecosystem. Okay. So in this section we are going to learn about the interaction between the biotic and abiotic components. We know that in an ecosystem there is biotic as well as abiotic components, and there is an interaction between these. Then only we can say that that unit is an ecosystem. So in an ecosystem there is interaction between organisms and their environment. So there is an interaction between these biotic and abiotic components. So these abiotic components, it gives the abiotic components provides nutrients to the producers or the plants. Okay, the abiotic components, it provide nutrients, and these nutrients, these are taken by the producers, and with the help of solar energy it prepare its own food, and this food, it is eaten by the consumers. And when these producers, that means the plants and animals, die, the decomposers are in action. They will decompose, they will break down these dead and decay matters into simpler substances. And these simpler substances, it will reach again in the soil. And from the soil, the producers again absorb these nutrients. So this is a cyclic process. Okay. And this cyclic process is known as the cycling of matter. So this is the cycling of matter. So in this cycling of matter, there is a flow of energy. There is a transfer of energy. We know that the ultimate source of energy is what? The sun. Okay. And from the sun, this energy is trapped by the plants, by the producers. And by using this energy, it makes its own food. It prepares its own food. Okay. So there is a transfer of energy. Okay. A flow of energy is there. So the transfer of energy from the producers, through a series of organisms. Okay, so from the producers to through a series of organisms, there is what? A flow of energy. The transfer of energy from the producers through a series of organisms can be seen in the ecosystem. And how these animals get this energy? It is nothing but what? But through the food. Some animals may be eaten by other animals. Okay. So there are herbivores which eat only plant and plant products. And these herbivores are eaten by the carnivorous animals. So in this way, there is a flow of energy. And the direction of energy. The direction is what? It is a unidirectional flow. That means it is from producers to the consumers, the series of organisms. Okay. So that flow of energy, it is known as what? The food chain. So in a food chain, there is the transfer of energy from the producers through a series of organisms with the repeated eating and being eaten. Repeated eating and being eaten. So in this way, there is a flow. There is a transfer of energy in the food chain. So this is an example for a typical food chain. So this is grasshopper, then frog and a snake. So here the grass is the producer. Okay. So what are the characters of a food chain? A food chain usually consists of 3 steps. There are 3 steps in a food chain, but some food chain may have 4 or 5 steps. Okay. So usually a food chain may contain 3 steps. These steps, each step in the food chain is known as the trophic level. Okay. Then what are these trophic level? They are producers. Then what? Primary consumers. Then secondary consumers. Producers, primary consumers, and secondary consumers. So like this, there are 3 steps. There are 3 trophic levels in a food chain. Even though there may be food chains with more than 3 steps. For in this food chain, it consists of 4 steps. So there are 4 trophic levels. Okay, grass, grasshopper, frog, and snake. Okay, so this way you can see that there are different types of food chains. Okay, so then producers, primary consumers, and secondary. So these are the 3 steps. And in a food chain, we can see that there is a flow of energy. And we can see that each food chain, all the food chain, that may start with a producer. The food chain starts with a producer. And there is a flow of energy from the producer through these consumers. Okay, there are different order may be there, and through this order there is what? A flow of energy can be seen in the food chain. Then depending upon the nature of the ecosystem, there may be different types of food chains. You know, this type of food chain, it can be seen in our surroundings, in our vicinity. We can see this type of food chain. Can we see this food chain in a pond ecosystem? No, we cannot see this one in the pond ecosystem. There may be some other type of food chains. For example, there may be the producer, may be the aquatic plants may be there. Then these aquatic plants, which can be eaten by some herbivorous fishes, may be there. And these fishes, these small fishes, can be eaten by some large fishes. Then in the case of forest, you can see different types of plants. It may be eaten by different types of animals, different types of herbivores, for example, deers. And these deers, it may be eaten by tiger or lion. So like that, based on the character, the nature of the ecosystem, the type of the food chain may vary. There are different types of food chain. Okay, and in an ecosystem, this type of food chain is not alone. It does not operate in complete isolation, because the members of this food chain are the members of this food chain may be member of some other food chain. Okay, so there is an interaction between this food chain. In an ecosystem, these food chain are seen as a network. So in a natural setting, in a habitat, in an ecosystem, these food chains are not in isolation. It does not operate in isolation. Okay, so there is an interaction between this food chain. And this network, the network of this food chain, is known as the food web. So now we are going to study about the food web. Now let's know about the food web. So what is a food web? It is the network of interrelated, interconnected food chains is known as a food web. So we shall make a food web here. Okay. So here I have written some organisms. Okay. So here you can see the producer, the plants. So we can make a food chain. Okay, so this is a food chain. Producer, plants, is eaten by the grasshopper, then frog, frog is eaten by a snake. We can make another food chain. This producer, the plant, the same producer can be eaten by different organisms, different herbivores. Okay, here the rabbit is eaten by the snake. Okay, so it's a carnivore. So this carnivore can eat different types of what, herbivore, or it's a secondary carnivore. Okay. Then we can make another. This producer, the plant, it can be eaten by a bird. Okay. Then this bird again. Okay. So we can make different types of what, food chains. Then here also. Okay. The same grasshopper can also be eaten by the bird. Okay. So the carnivores can eat more than one type of herbivore. Okay. So like that, this chain is what it is connecting. Okay. Then here. So in this way, we can connect all these organisms. Okay. So different food chains. Now the different types of food chains have been interconnected. So this interconnected, this network of the food chain is known as what? A food web. Okay. Then the number of food chain. The more the number of food chain in an ecosystem, the more the stability the ecosystem have. Okay. If the number of food chain is increasing, the more stable the ecosystem is. That means the elimination of one type of species, one type of the trophic level does not affect the entire ecosystem. Okay. So the more the number of food chain, the more stable the ecosystem is. Okay. So now we are moving to study about the pyramids. Okay, the energy pyramids and the number pyramids. So like that, there are some ecological pyramids. So we are going to study about the ecological pyramids. Now, the ecological pyramid. There is a relationship. There is a relationship between the number, biomass, and energy content of the producers and the consumers. And this relationship can be represented in a diagram. This graphical representation of this relationship is known as the ecological pyramid. There are pyramid of number, pyramid of biomass, and pyramid of energy. Okay, what does it shows? It shows the relationship between the number, biomass, and the energy content of the producers and the consumers. Okay, so this graphical representation is known as an ecological pyramid. So let's discuss about the pyramid of number. The pyramid of number shows the number of individuals at each trophic level. It shows the number of individuals. I will show you one pyramid, the pyramid of number. It shows the number of individuals at each trophic level. So this is the first trophic level. Always in the base level there is what? Producers, then primary consumers, secondary consumers, and tertiary consumers. So this pyramid of number shows the number of individuals at each trophic level. So how many number of individuals are there? Here, then here, here, and here. It shows the number of individuals at each trophic level. Okay, and we can see that the number of consumers is reducing. From base to top, the number of consumers is what? It is decreasing, it is reducing when we go from base to the top. A larger number, more number can be seen in the base. Okay. Then the number of primary consumers it may be less than these producers. And here the number of secondary consumers may be less than the number of primary consumers, and so on. So when we go from base to the top, the number of consumers is reducing. Okay. So in this example, we have taken that grasshopper, frog and snake. So here the number of grasshoppers in a field may be less than the total number of grass. Then the number of frog may be less than the number of grasshopper. Then the number of snake may be less than the number of frog. Okay. So this is the pyramid of number. It shows the number of individuals at each trophy level. So this is the trophy level 1, T2, T3 and T4. Okay, here we can see the producers, then consumers, then we get the primary consumers, herbivores, then secondary consumers, they are carnivores, tertiary consumers, they are what? Top carnivores. Okay, so like this is the pyramid of number. Okay, so now in this section we are going to conclude this section. Okay, so you may go your you may read your textbook. Okay, go through that, and if you find any difficulty, any problem, okay, any doubt, you may just call me or you can message me. Okay, you can call or message me at any time. Okay, so thank you.